Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today, we are covering a movie that Bored Now or Keith mentioned. It's been a while back, but yeah, The Dive. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. So I am doing a repeat. I'm doing the Republic of Tea Turmeric Ginger. It's got turmeric, green tea, ginger, cinnamon, and honey flavor. And since I have been sipping on this for the past couple of episodes, I will say it's not bad. I'm not really getting any ginger flavor and really not much green tea flavor. But the turmeric and ginger, yep, good.
That's surprising because ginger is usually pretty strong.
Yeah, like honestly, it's like I get the spice of the ginger, but more flavor of the turmeric. I don't know.
And I am drinking Republic of Tea's Daily Beauty Blueberry Lavender Tea. It's one of our favorites. It's got blueberry, butterfly, pea flower, and blueberry, hibiscus, rosehip, bamboo, and schizandra berry.
And thank you to the Republic of Tea for allowing us to continue to do what we love. And for our tea sippers out there, brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. So for the summary of The Dive, two sisters, like they have like a tradition, I think it's like every year or something, but they
seem like it.
Yeah, they go on a trip where they go diving together. And, well, in this particular instance, they go diving and I don't think they actually explain it, but I'm pretty sure it's like an earthquake or a rock slide or probably
it's just a rock slide.
Anyway, the rock slide or something happens where the rocks shift and like fall into the water, and a big old boulder falls on one of the sisters. And so it's this situation where the other sister has to like try and get help, either like removing the rock or getting air. Well, they're having trouble removing the rock like just by themselves, but so getting help removing the rock, getting the sister extra air, like navigating that whole situation. And yeah, it's a pretty simple storyline, but for entertainment, I will say I quite enjoyed this movie. It's just my type of movie. I love movies that like explore like the characters and like the sister, whenever she's under the boulder and she's like trying to calm herself down and she's thinking about how like their father like held her head under the water and did like terrible things, and then also how like her jealousy towards her sister. They bring up it's like kind of the thing where at the beginning of the movie they seem just like normal sisters, but not like necessarily any like grudges or regrets or anything.
Seems like normal sisterly tension.
Yeah. But then like whenever you go into, it shows like flashbacks and stuff like that, you're like, wow, like there's shit below the surface.
There's some resentment there.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed the character exploration piece. That I'm just a sucker for that kind of stuff. And it made them seem a lot more like real and tangible. I also liked it did feel intense to me, especially like the sister that was free, that was the one, it was up to them to like get everything. I was like, oh man, she's screwed.
Yeah.
Because she was like kind of like the panicky, like, oh, I gotta do stuff.
Yeah.
And she wasn't taking her sister's advice to decompress. I will say that, she did try and initially kind of follow like what her sister recommended with the cell phone and stuff like that. But that's when she realized that like a lot of things.
The situation is so much worse.
Yes. I will say, well, okay, I'll save that to realism, so never mind. But yeah, the sister was doing like trying her hardest to like get the car open, get the trunk open, things like that. So it's like you felt the desperation, and they somehow like keep turning it up a notch to where you're like, oh shit, is the sister actually going to die? Because this is looking like really bad. And I also like in the actual situation itself, you can see the progression where like the sister under the rock is calm and telling her this is what you need to do. The sister that's free is panicking, but then it kind of like the sister that is free is still trying her hardest, but it's just like it evolves. And so with the sister under the rock, where she's like, okay, I'm probably going to die, and she kind of is like angry but like accepting it. And anyway, it's like I feel like they did such a good job with like showing that whole like flow of emotion and stuff, because I mean, what a terrible situation to suddenly be put into. And so I feel like they did a really good representing that. So it's like I don't feel like it's a movie that everyone will enjoy. It's definitely a very like almost like niche type of intense film, but I personally really enjoyed it, and I'll definitely watch it again.
So what do you rate it?
7.75.
Pretty good. I give it a 6.5. There was a good amount of tension, and they did really well for, they didn't use much.
Oh yeah, it's pretty.
There were
simple.
5 cast members and just a couple of different locations. So they did a really decent job there. It was really interesting.
Yeah, I want to say, I think Board Now said that he had watched it at like a indie film festival or something, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So
it was pretty decent. I feel like there were a lot of movies got a movie moments. And I don't know, I feel like the sister that was free and had to do all the things was a little too panicky. Yeah, and it didn't like make that much sense, and some of the decisions that she made didn't make that much sense, especially if she's an experienced diver, to the point where she seems almost obsessed with diving. Like, she was the one that got all of the equipment and all, that checks things, that looks at the different sites that they're going to, and plans all their trips and everything. So it just seemed a little off character for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know it's a super stressful situation, and she's worried out of her mind about her sister, but I still feel like it was some manufactured drama.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Totally fair.
The acting was okay. Like, the interactions especially were okay. But I still feel, again, like it was a little forced. It didn't feel quite as organic.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there was some manufactured drama stuff there. A lot of it did make a bit more sense when you start seeing some of their flashbacks of the past and everything, but they don't give you a whole lot of detail.
Yeah, not a lot of context to go off
There's
of.
not a lot of context to go off of and all. You only see really the one incident of her dad holding her under the water, but the way she talks implies like there was a whole bunch of stuff, and that her sister was shielded from a lot of it, but they only show us that one incident. So, like,
I don't know. I feel like if they show too many, then it's like they're force feeding or shoving it down your throat.
I agree, but they could have shown things that made a bit more sense to it, you know? Like abuse in the home, and she was trying to keep her sister out of it or something. Like it, and they mentioned the mom once, but that was about it. Like it was just a little odd. felt like it wasn't fleshed out quite enough. So
Yeah, that kind of leave you wanting. But it's like, I feel like it's kind of the thing where it's like, you're an observer, and so they're thinking about what they're going to think about, and it's like, you kind of have to put together, like, the information that they give you.
yeah, I don't know. It just fell a little short for me. And we'll get to some stuff in the realism, but but all in all, it was all right. I actually rather enjoyed this one a little bit more than Night Swim or No Way Up. If nothing else, for the realism.
They at least tried.
They tried, for sure. And we didn't have to worry about sharks getting into the crevice area and being a problem.
Like, honestly, I was kind of expecting there to be a shark or some sort of incident like that at some point, but it's like, no, it makes sense. It's like, you're trapped in a rock. It's like, why would a shark be interested in that?
Yeah.
It's just, unless if you're like thrashing
Yeah, if
about
you're
and-
thrashing and everything, then that would potentially cause a problem. But she was very calm, and she wasn't moving too much, which doesn't call anything,
Yeah.
and also preserves oxygen
Yes.
and energy.
Yes.
So that was pretty well done. But again, we'll get to some in the realism. Not too much though. This was fairly decent.
So I'll be interested to hear your reading, because it's like, Jess has dived before. I have never. I've only snorkeled. I'm a snorkeler.
It really is a whole different world down there. I want to go again soon. It's been so long since I've been.
But so it's like, to me, I'm like, oh, all of this sounds fairly reasonable. So I gave it a 6. So like I like for when they first like go into the water, they're like talking about it, it's like, oh, I'm nervous, and the other sister's like, it's good to be nervous, like you don't want like, you want to be on high alert, or you not high alert, but you want to be alert of the situation.
You don't want to be complacent.
Yes. And I feel like the reactions for the most part were pretty realistic. The only thing is, I understand that the sister that was free was in a very desperate situation, but like her pushing the car off the cliff, her like writing the help message, it's like, I feel like those items kind of took up precious time and didn't really give her, well, especially like the note, didn't give her like a whole lot of benefit to helping the sister. But it's like, I understand, like I said, the desperation of the situation, right? And then I like the dynamics of the reaction, like panicked versus calm. And then the evolution of it is like, that felt like very like tangible. The dad is like, the dad holding her head underwater. Like, I don't see how that, I mean, maybe they're just saying, oh, he's an asshole, but I don't see how that would help diving at all with her holding her breath. Not when you're like...
I guess it could show that she can push past what she thinks is her limit. I guess.
But that's pretty freaking risky.
It is. It's extremely dangerous, and it's not okay.
No.
It just seems more like an asshole move.
Yeah, like, I kind of got the impression that the older sister was the one that was abused, and then the younger sister was just kind of, like, treated the best, and that's where the start of the resentment was. And then it just kind of, like, went downhill from there. And then it's like, I feel like, I don't know, the situation itself on how she got stuck under the rock, I mean, I guess it depends on how much of her body was caught under the rock, but I feel like if a rock is falling, even if if it touches you, you would have like a time to like, I don't know. It's like, I
It
don't.
really depends on the situation, but that is actually somewhat plausible.
Okay. But yeah, like a lot
She's
of the.
lucky she didn't get crushed completely.
But I did like the dynamic of like them talking about oxygen, them switching like the mask types, them using different tools to try and lift up the rock, and then her using the fix-a-flat or whatever to fix a hole. I thought that was like really smart. And then also them even like bringing up the threaded or the oxygen tank having like
the valve.
The valve threaded, or that was like an interesting dynamic to bring up too. Is like they thought of like different things that me as a non-diver I would never have thought of, and I thought it was really cool for them to bring that up. I felt like that just made a very simple situation like even more interesting in a lot of ways. So yeah, that's what I got.
Did you read it? I'm sorry.
6.
Okay. So I give it a 4.
Okay.
This one's actually pretty decent. All of the dive equipment makes sense except for the masks with the radio thing again, for fuck's sake. Like when they first put it on, you see something by the ear. So I'm like, okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It seems like they're at least trying to have something by the ear and all. But then one of the sisters takes off the mask, which the thing by the ear is on the strap, and it comes off. And then she puts on the other mask, which has nothing by the ears.
And then they're still talking.
And they're still talking.
Yes. Okay.
Well, one of them is still
Right,
talking,
yeah.
but still, the other one, there's no way she can hear her.
That's a good point.
That's not how it works. I know movies got a movie and we got to be able to hear some stuff, but come on.
Well, some of it, though, I didn't really think about, or I didn't really think she was trying to directly communicate with her. Like, she is, like, reacting to, like, what the sister was doing.
No, she was actually talking to her
Okay.
in a lot of the scenes, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. But when they talked about the equipment, that was decent. They had weighted belts to get them down there. That was correct. And I believe at one point she might have taken it off just to help her like run faster or something. They can be really heavy. And so are the tanks. I'm glad that they conveyed that, because in a lot of movies, they're just carrying around these tanks like they're nothing. Those things are freaking heavy, especially when they're full. They're heavy empty too. But these things, like, and it takes a lot. Like, it's not near as big a deal when you're in the water.
Right.
But when you're walking to the water with it on your back, God forbid you're carrying 2 to try to take them to your
Just feel like
sister
you're
down there.
1,000 pounds,
These
just
things
like-
are ridiculously heavy. So, yeah, I was mad at her for dropping one and not immediately, like, going down to get it. And being like, I lost it. I don't know where it is. I dropped it. Manufactured drama.
Yeah, that was frustrating.
Like, she has been diving for years. She knows how everything works and all. She knows there's no freaking way that person on that boat way far out there is going to see or hear her. It's just not going to happen. And especially when she's in the water, they're not going to see her. They might, possibly, maybe, perhaps, if their engine is off, hear her. Maybe. But they were moving. That engine was on. So, no.
It's like I can understand, like, desperately trying to get their attention, but...
But that's not going to do it. Also, it bugged the crap out of me when they first did it, and I knew it was going to be a problem then, and it became a problem. Why would they put all of their stuff in, like, a little cave-type area in the rocks? They went to a remote area There's no one around for miles. They see something on the map later that might be a house, but it's extremely unlikely. And it turns out not to be. So why would you put it in that area at all? Like, there's not a cloud in the sky, so there's no rain. They would have checked the forecast as well. That's part of diving. Check the weather and see how it's going to be, because it's going to affect the water. Like, the choppiness, the turbulence and everything, it's going to affect it. So that was manufactured bullshit as well. I can see in that horrible car not necessarily being able to get in the trunk, but I feel like it was a little too hard to get into the trunk. Like, the button should have worked. But if the button didn't work, then yes, the knife in the keyhole and turning it should definitely have worked.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't work. So she tried to go through the back seat, which I was saying to do, which I'm glad she did try. But then there was a complete covering. Why? Why was there a complete covering there? Behind the seat?
I feel like we should have looked up that car model and verified.
Right? How shitty is this car? Why did you make your trunk like freaking Fort Knox? It makes no sense. Except from the inside, where they actually had the pull tab, the release tab on the inside of the trunk. I can see her being frustrated enough to whack the back of the vehicle several times.
Oh, yeah.
I can see that. And I can see, you know, I can't get the damn thing open this way, so I'm just going to wreck the damn car to get in there. That was good. I thought she'd go back the other way, so it would fall off the cliff closer to where she would have to dive, and was more likely to fall on the trunk to open said trunk. But sure. Why was the jack missing, though? Why?
Yeah.
Added drama, movie's got a movie. But whatever. The sister had said there was not enough time. There was not enough air for the sister that was free to run to the other place a mile away or more and see if it was a house to call for help. And then they went and did the thing anyway. And it didn't end up being a house, and nothing came of it. But that was a giant waste of time. And again, that giant waste of time didn't come to any consequences or anything in the movie itself. It was just a thing. I applaud her athleticism, though, for being able to dive twice, I believe, at that point, and come back with the bends because she didn't decompress. And then run a mile there and another mile back and then keep diving.
Yeah.
I call slight bullshit on it, but I do applaud her athleticism. And I'm sure some of it was attributed to adrenaline. But that's a lot. Like, I am exhausted after diving. And when I go diving, it's not too strenuous of a thing, to be honest. Like, it's a very leisurely, let's explore this kind of area for a little bit and then go back to the boat kind of thing. So, it just seemed like a bit much. I'm on the fence about whether or not that BCD, the vest, would inflate enough to lift that big of a rock. That's like 1,000 or more pound block of stone.
Yeah, it's like, it depends on, like, how the rock was shaped. So if it's like a thinner shape and then it could like leverage it up. I don't know. Because it's like, it's not necessarily having to lift the full 1,000 pounds. It's just but
just the leverage. But,
yeah, but
it just seemed a little...
Yeah. I see where you're coming from.
Just very on the edge.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't have to lift it much. Just enough for her to wiggle out. But
it's like, I feel like she should have done the inflatable thing and the, in the beginning, they should, like, try and lift it up at the same time, you know?
Yeah. I mean...
Done both.
They wouldn't have done much, to be perfectly honest. Now, if she found another pole or wedged what was left of the pole in there and lifted that way just to get another lever in there, then yeah. I am not surprised that the pole broke.
Yeah.
That was a thing that was going to happen. Period. What my husband and I both were saying no about was that she was like trying to lift it this way instead of like backing up a little bit and having it on her shoulder and lifting with her legs, because that'll give you a hell of a lot more power.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Lifting with the legs than just with your arms.
Yeah.
So, but overall, decent movie. I don't think that she would have been able to dive that many times without decompressing, without serious issues. Because that first time she came up and blood out of the nose and everything, that's a problem. Yes. That's a big problem. And the fact that it just didn't seem to be as much of a problem throughout the movie after that was just a... No.
Well, I mean, I guess there was the one part where, like, she came up a second time and she, like, kind of passed out at first. Or, because she came up twice with the bends. And the second time, she kind of, like, laid on the dock area. And
yeah, I felt like that was more exhaustion than anything.
Okay.
Because, again, it takes a lot. It's not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of movement. I sleep good that night when I dive. Just that exhaustion of a good workout and been in the water and just... Now I can sleep. But that should have been a bigger problem than it was, is all I'm saying. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. I thought about that too. But yeah, overall, I feel like it's a pretty decent, like, intense movie. It is, like, slightly on the psychological side, where it, like, talks about, like, the sisters' relationships, stuff like that.
And also just the trapped sister dealing with the whole situation of thinking she's gonna die.
Yeah, between, like, not only being trapped, but having to worry about, like, drowning, relying on her
nothing
sister.
she can do about it.
Yeah, because she's helpless to the situation.
Yes.
Yeah, so, it's a pretty, like, good, solid movie for me.
Yep.
But thank you for joining us today, and let us know what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
And if you'd like to support us monetarily, we have a Teespring and PayPal, or we have our affiliate link with Republic of Tea available. It does not affect the price of the tea, it just allows us to continue to do what we love. And you can find all of the sites mentioned linked below, but until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy. Bye!